Let's bring in Sophie Elsworth, media writer at The Australian and Sky News contributor. Good to talk to you again, Sophie. They're pushing lies about ABC funding. Let's cut to that argument straight away, right?
Well, Chris, after getting through that song yet again, I mean, that's just absolute cruelty to these poor viewers at home having to listen to that. I sat through it yesterday. But at this ABC Friends Talk Fest, they spoke about funding cuts. They went on and on about it, Chris. Now, can we just remind viewers that Paul Fletcher announced in February that the federal government has guaranteed $1.1 billion a year for the next 3 years in funding to the ABC, and still they are whinging. No amount of money, Chris, will ever satisfy these ABC types. And I really wonder, Chris, if many of them have ever worked at commercial broadcasters and understand the strains that businesses were under, particularly during the pandemic. But the ABC, they're still whinging.
They've had the time of their life. They've had job security through the pandemic. They've had studios set up at home. It's been easy for them, but now they're whinging. And on top of all that funding increase over the next 3 years, of course, the government has won them a deal, included them in a deal with the digital giants. So they're going to reap in extra millions from Facebook, Google and the like, aren't they? YouTube.
Absolutely, Chris. And I would argue that the ABC has plenty of money over there. Over at commercial broadcasters, we've seen it in our industry. Journalism has been cut extensively over the years. But at the ABC, they just continue to complain all the time. And they're really using this, spreading effectively this lie that their funding keeps getting cut when the federal government has guaranteed this funding, Chris, for the next 3 years. But they are simply never satisfied. No amount of money will ever be good enough for them. And this is what we're seeing at these rallies. I've been to many of them, Chris, over the months, and they continue to bash the coalition. In fact, I feel like I'm sitting at a Greens Labor event when I go there. It's just pure hatred of Murdoch, and it's pure hatred of the coalition.
You know, I might turn up at one of those one day. I'd like to just check them out. I might find out when they're having one in Sydney, because it would be just fun to turn up and see what they've got to say. When it comes to ABC bias, though, there was another little example on the Insiders program yesterday. David Spears was hosting Insiders. He had Laura Tingle on board, who's the political reporter for the 7:30 report. I'll show you this comment here. She's referring at the top to the initial housing policy from the government. That's about helping retirees downsize. And here's what she said about it. This is in the lead up to the Liberal launch yesterday.
Is this really the centrepiece of the campaign launch today by the government?
There could be another surprise. We don't know.
Maybe they're going to announce we're going to nuke somebody or something. I mean, Lord knows.
Well, of course she was wrong, Sophie. It wasn't the centrepiece. There was a new housing scheme for first home buyers that we've been talking about at the top of the program. But what does she mean? They're announcing they're going to nuke someone. She thinks that the government talks up the threat of war. Is it a dig at the government? What's she on about that?
Well, I took that, Chris, as yes, a dig at the government. And I thought it was pretty inflammatory language. And we have to remember, Chris, that at the ABC, their reporters have to be neutral. And I didn't think that was neutral. And unfortunately for Miss Tingle, she's faced a lot of people concerned about her impartiality after those tweets that she infamously bashed out a couple of years ago, accusing the Prime Minister of being smug and, being responsible for ideological bastardry. Yeah. So I think Miss Tingle has a few issues there, and I think viewers can see through this. And it's disappointing when you look at the ABC, because you are meant to get that impartial news coverage. And Chris, you and I consume a lot of it, and we don't get impartial news coverage over there.
That's why we give them all those billions, but we don't get it. Thanks for joining us, Sophie. Appreciate it.